The first step when blocking off a 10 head high figure is to find the center line of the page. So we're going to mark the top and the bottom at 4¼ inches in. Then using our straight edge, we are going to draw a straight line all the way down from the top to the bottom of the page. With our center line drawn, it's now time to start our 10 head high spacing. So starting at the bottom of the page, we're going to draw a 6-inch wide horizontal line starting at ½ an inch up, and then moving up 1 inch, draw another 6-inch long horizontal line, continuing that all the way up until we have 11 total horizontal 6-inch lines. With all of our horizontal lines labeled starting with 0 and ending with 10, we're going to come down to the 1½ inch mark, and that is going to be our shoulder line. We're going to mark a 4-inch wide horizontal line. After we have marked our shoulder line, we're going to go to the 2¼ inch mark, which is 1/4 inch below the number 2 line. We're going to draw the line that marks the highest point of the bust line, or the apex. After we've marked the apex, we're going to come down to 3¼ inch. This is going to mark our waistline, which is 1/4 inch below the number 3 line. Our next marking is at 4½ inches. This marks the lowest part of the hip. So we're going to come ½ an inch down from the 4-inch line. Next we'll come ½ an inch down from the 6-inch line to mark the knee. And then lastly, at 9¼ inch, we will mark the ankle. That is 1/4 inch below the number 9 line. Then we label everything. Now it's time to begin drawing the form. The first 1-inch block will be our head. We'll draw a small egg shape in that first open cell. Next we will do the necklines. The necklines will come from either side of the chin down to our first shoulder line, which is about ½ an inch below the 1-inch line. You can extend this down if you would like to elongate the neck for the female form. Then we will draw our shoulders, and we're going to have them come down a little bit below the shoulder line. And next we're going to draw a basic block shape for the bodice, which will start at the shoulder line and go down to our waistline. Our next step is to draw the hips. We want the widest part of our hips to cross right at the number 4 line and ending at the 4½ inch line, which is our rise. So this is where the legs will separate from the torso. So we'll draw our legs down to the knee from the widest part of the hip to keep a smooth line. And next we draw from our knee down to our ankle, which will be the thinnest part of the leg. Now that we have both lower portions of the leg drawn, it's time to finish the foot. So we'll taper out slightly to the ankle mark and then come down to the 10-inch line to finish our toe. Now it's time to draw the arms. The wrist line is right along the rise line that we drew at 4½ inches, or the lowest part of the hip. So from our shoulder, we'll draw one line down, and then from our apex bust line, the inside of the arm, and we'll draw that again down to the 4.5-inch line. Next, it's time to draw our hand. The hand and the thumb are about the same distance, the 1/2 inch, from 4.5 to 5.5 inches. And then the fingers will just be a small detail after that, about 1/4 of an inch down from the 5-inch line. So again, we'll draw our thumb and our hand, and then we'll just add some fingers for detail. And that is our basic croquis. At this point, we can begin smoothing out the lines, and then we're almost ready to trace onto an additional piece of paper for the finishing touches. With tracing paper, you won't need a light box, but I'm using regular computer printer paper, so I'm going to be using a light box so that I can see my original drawing below. So first step, I'm taping it down so that it won't move, and then I'm going to take a fresh piece of blank paper and tape it over my original croquis. Now you can see we have our clean piece of paper. I'm taking a Sharpie to trace the head. Now I'm only going to trace the neck down to where our shoulder blades are. We do not need all of the foundational lines that we used to build up this form, since this is going to be our finished croquis. So from the shoulder, I'm going to trace down the arm and finish off the hand. And then from the inner arm, again down to the wrist and finishing off the thumb. It's best when tracing to start and end a line at a smooth section, and try not to stop your pen until you've hit an angle where you can readjust your hand placement. So pulling down as far as you can to keep the line smooth and free of shakes. Finish off the bodice, and then it's time for our final arm, rounding out the thumb and the hand, and then pulling down our neck, and then doing the shoulder and outer arm line all in one go. Now we're going to trace our center line, and we are going to trace a few lines for reference when we do our sketch fashion drawing. So we're going to do the apex of the bust bridge, we're going to do the natural waist, and we are going to do the hips. Now that we have that done, it's time for our style lines, which will be our panty line from the widest part of the hip to the rise in the legs. Then we're going to draw our neckline as well as our princess front seams, and this will allow us to draw more accurately our dress lines, our necklines, and our bodice style lines. And now we have a finished croquis using the blocking method.